The lead prosecutor in Eric Adams' case resigned today.
Well, I don't know about it. I mean, obviously I'm not involved.
He wants to know why the proclamation was signed in the dark.
I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it. Other people handled it.
Some of your top cabinet officials and aides have been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it.
Do you still believe nothing classified was shared?
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know.
You've been briefed about the soldiers in Lithuania who are missing?
No, I haven't.
Will you take steps to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States?
Well, I'm not involved in it.
Everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
Okay. What is one basic truth we know about Donald Trump? He doesn't know anything. He has literally no idea what the hell is going on in his own government. So it will not come as a shock to you that his blatant ignorance is shared by most people in MAGA and in his administration. Over the last few weeks, we've seen Republicans openly, loudly, and in a way that's completely unself-aware, admitting how incompetent and unknowledgeable they are. For instance, this week, FEMA head David Richardson just announced he did not know we had a hurricane season here in the United States of America. Yes, you are reading that right. During a meeting, Richardson said that he was unaware that we had a hurricane season. During the same briefing, he said that there would be no changes to the agency's disaster response plans, despite having told staff to expect a new plan in May. Considering Richardson has zero background in emergency management, his FEMA blunders are not surprising, although they are deeply alarming. He spent the last few decades commanding Marines in war zones overseas before jumping between teaching military history, training soldiers in artillery strategy, and running DHS's Weapons of Mass Destruction office. Then earlier this year, the Trump regime abruptly stuck him at FEMA. What part of his resume tells us that this is a person who would be able to handle disaster relief? Nothing. And to top it off, Richardson's comments came after the department's departures of top FEMA officials, serious staff cuts, and reductions in hurricane preparedness that will leave the agency ill-prepared for a storm season forecast to be above normal. Yes, a storm season that actually does exist, even though the head of FEMA doesn't seem to know this. A longstanding veteran Florida weatherman made it clear to us exactly how detrimental all of this is for southern states. Take a look at this report from John Morales, meteorologist at South Florida's NBC6.
Hurricane Dorian, as it was absolutely devastating the northwest Bahamas as a Category 5, sat over that region for 2 days. It was headed straight west. Lots of people in Florida were concerned the hurricane was heading here. And as you've grown accustomed to my presentations over my 34 years in South Florida newscasts, confidently, I went on TV and I told you, it's going to turn. You don't need to worry. It is going to turn. And I am here to tell you that I am not sure I can do that this year because of the cuts, the gutting, the sledgehammer attack on science in general, and I could talk about that for a long, long time, and how that is affecting the U.S. Leadership in science over many years, and how we're losing that leadership, and this is a multi-generational impact on science in this country.
If you're not appalled by that, well, you should be. Because of Donald and the anti-science stance of the Trump regime, Americans may not even get accurate warnings when hurricanes are coming right towards them. Now, a lot of the states most affected by this assault on the sciences and the assault on fact-based meteorological reporting will be in red states that heavily supported Donald Trump. Now, I don't believe that anybody should be in that position, but here's the problem. most of these red states are what they call, colloquially welfare states. What does that mean? Well, they take more from the federal government than they put in, right? So when the federal government cuts basic services like, I don't know, informing people about how bad hurricanes are going to be or where they're going to land, the states are going to have to pick up the slack. Same thing with federal funding of disaster relief. The states are going to have to pick up any slack. Before we continue, though, please remember, we are not corporate media here. We do not bend the knee. We are not for sale now, and we never will be. We expose the lies the Trump regime wants buried, and independent media survives because of you. So please like and share our videos, and if you support our mission, please subscribe to our channel. Of course, it's not just David Richardson who's clueless. It turns out that a lot of House Republicans are just as out of the loop about the most basic aspects of their jobs. In typical fashion, Republicans have screwed themselves over by not doing their due diligence. That should at least be part of the job. This time it's Marjorie Greene and other Republicans in the House who have been publicly embarrassing themselves by voting for Donald's, they should be embarrassed just by continuing to refer to it as Donald's big, beautiful bill. But what's even more embarrassing is that they apparently haven't even read it. On Twitter yesterday, Greene was forced to admit that she, in fact, had not thoroughly read through the bill, and she essentially voted yes to measures she ultimately decided she didn't agree with. This is just total incomplete incompetency. And again, not surprising because it's Marjorie Greene, but it isn't just her. Representative Mike Flood managed to humiliate himself publicly last week at a town hall, during which he too admitted he had not yet read this big, beautiful bill, despite championing it to all of his constituents. Take a look at this coverage from News Channel Nebraska.
This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Okay, next question. Next question.
I am not going to hide the truth. This provision was unknown to me when I voted for that bill. And when I found out that provision was in the bill, I immediately reached out to my Senate counterparts and told them of my concern.
Okay, so this guy openly admits he didn't read the bill, which he was going to vote for, even though that's his job. Why vote for something if you haven't read it? And why vote for it? Why read it after you voted for it? And now the die is cast, his vote is cast, and now he's reaching out to his Senate counterparts in order to undo the damage that's already been done. As you can tell, his constituents were none too pleased because they also understand just how deeply incompetent you have to be to do what their representative just did. The town hall got even more contentious from there, constituents growing increasingly upset with Flood's incompetency, going so far as to call him a fascist and grilling him on more sections of the bill. So here's one thing that we know for sure. Republicans have absolutely no idea what's in their bill in particular, or what Donald has planned. And that's the problem. This Republican Party has capitulated since day one. They have abdicated all of their constitutional responsibilities and handed them over to the executive branch in general and to Donald Trump in particular. That is not the way this works. They are supposed to be the first among equals. They are supposed to be a separate branch of government that is there in part to rein in an out-of-control executive. Instead, these guys have given Donald even more power than the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court did. It isn't just Republican representatives. Other government departments are also being led by complete idiots. Donald's Social Security head recently admitted something that's actually shocking even by Donald's standards. He didn't even know what his own position entailed.
We got a phone call, and it's about Social Security, and I'm really not. I swear I'm not looking for a job. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? So I'm Googling Social Security, one of my great skills. I'm one of the great Googlers on the East Coast. But that is the headline for the Post. Great Googler in chief. Chief and Googler, whatever. So, by the way, I like to have fun at work. You know, we're allowed to laugh, we're allowed to have fun, we're allowed to know each other's families, we're allowed to be normal. How's that? I'm like, what the heck's the commissioner of Social Security? First, nobody said we're calling it it was about Social Security, so I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, how's that? That's terrible. That's how that is. Are you kidding? First of all, I have a question. Are you sober? That's one question. Secondly, Googling isn't a skill, you moron. Jesus Christ. I mean, you put that on your resume? No wonder they wanted to make you administrator of Social Security. By the way, if you don't know what Social Security is as an American citizen, I think your citizenship should be revoked. Anyway, casually admitting. Okay, so let's go back a second. That's Frank Bisignano. He's now the head of the Social Security Administration, even though he doesn't know what Social Security is. And he casually admitted in a recent town hall with agency managers that he hadn't even applied for the job, which I guess is why he ended up having to Google it. Personally, I have never applied for a job that I've been so unqualified for, I had to Google what it was. Basically, if that were the case, I wouldn't have applied for the job. But that's how it works in the Trump regime. Now, the question is why? Well, this is what happens when the person who's in charge of everything is the most incompetent, unqualified human being in human history. He needs to surround himself with other unqualified, incompetent people. Otherwise, he'll get really, really, really lonely. So I think we're going to need a lot of luck to get out of this unscathed. But in the meantime, I don't think it's asking too much of Donald and the other people in the executive branch who are finding people to lead our agencies to pick people who at least don't have to Google what the agency is for. Again, I don't think it's too much to ask. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.